Hello,
You're being filmed.
I'm being filmed. Hello.
Talk about wildlife.
Now, this is a wildlife show produced by Barry M himself. Well, as we go back a long way to the crocodiles, on the west coast of California, well, you used to get the subterranean turtles that used to come to sea after going round the ocean a lot of times, and used to make it to the west coast of California. And they used to come upon shore, dig a hole with their flippers about 1 foot into the ground, and some of these turtles used to lay eggs of a clutch from 60 to 80 eggs. And they used to come across the white shore sands of California, and bury about 60 to 80 eggs under the white sand of California, and then they used to go off to sea. The sea was quite tropical for the big subterranean turtles, but the eggs used to hatch within 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks, and uh, you'd get about loads of patches across the white sands. You'll get loads of turtles coming up. Sorry, turtles coming up.
Are you an animal lover?
I'm an animal lover. I'm an animal lover. I'm an animal lover. But at the white sands, you'll get about 60 to 70 to 80 crocodiles come up. And there from the white sands of California, they've got to get it back into the ocean to make it into sea to become adulthood. And you get the seagulls come out and they pick the young off. They pick the young off. You get also the birds come out, they pick the young off. Also, when they get into the ocean, you've got things like piranha and shark and seagoing creatures that will pick the young turtles off. Now, they're the white sands of California are the only ones that survive out of maybe a million crocodiles. Only one or two survive out of a million crocodiles. And they get torn up, ripped to bits by the other predators, and over a million crocodiles, you could only get one or two that survive, and that is the subterranean turtle of the subterranean paradise, and that is the subterranean turtle of the subterranean paradise. Uh, let's go to the crocodiles also in California. Now, the crocodiles come upon shore out the swamps and out the rivers of California, and they go up to the banks, and they lay a clutch of over 60 to 80 eggs within the mud and the sand dunes of California rivers and ponds. And yet again, basically, you get about 60 baby crocodiles out of a million that have been laid.
What's your favourite animal?
Well, I do like crocodiles.
You like crocodiles?
I do like
Quite
crocodiles.
scary, aren't they?
They are quite scary. They got some big teeth on them, and they're very powerful. But of course, the crocodiles come upon the swamps of California, up to the banks, and they lay their eggs. You get about 80 little baby crocodiles. But of course, the locals come out from the wood houses, from the woodly made little cabins, and the locals come out and they catch the crocodiles and gas them. They gas them and kill them.
Oh, that sounds cruel.
Yeah, the locals.
We don't like cruelty to animals, do we?
No. But the locals gas them and kill them, and make little models of crocodiles out of the crocodiles. And out of a million crocodiles, only maybe one or two crocodiles will survive. Out of a million crocodiles, the locals take them. The predators along the swamps and the banks take them. But the local people, the local humans, make little baby model crocodiles out of them. They stuff them and make little baby crocodiles, and they're good going amongst the tourists, but cruelty to animals, as Alan says, is not my sort of thing. But let's go to the African plains of Africa. Well, the African plains of Africa, there was two cheetahs. What were my favourite? Two cheetahs. One was called Lizzie and one was called Ben. One was called Lizzie and one was called Ben. And they grew up together. And then they come in an encounter with a lion. And Ben, the two sisters, the brother and the sister, well, Ben got injured by the big lion. And Lizzie and Ben split up in the Sahara Desert. And they split up because a lion attacked them. And I was
Who got attacked by a lion?
the cheetahs, Ben and Lizzie. They were brother and sister.
Cheetahs called Ben and Lizzie.
They got brought up with each other. And a lion attacked them in the Sahara Desert. And they got split up with each other. They had to scarper. They had to run. But they were away for no more than 6 months with each other. They got lost in the Sahara Desert. And after 6 months of catching them on camera and watching them walk about the Sahara Desert, luck would have it that you got some flying doctors, which were quite nice, and they reunited the brother and the sister, Ben and Lizzie, and they were lost without each other. Basically, they were lost without each other, and they were crying, and it was a very sad story, but a lion attacked them in the Sahara and they got split up with each other. And they were apart, the brother and the sister, for 6 months in the Sahara Desert. And
What desert?
Sahara Desert.
Sahara Desert, you mean?
Sahara, yeah. But what really got me is when they linked up with each other again after 6 months. It was quite a fine sight. One of them was injured, very poorly, very sick. But they managed to link up with each other again. And I'll tell you what, it was wonderful. After 6 months of being apart with each other, two cheetahs, Ben and Lizzie, in the African Sahara Desert. A lion attacked them, see? So they got split up with each other. But they were away with each other for 6 months. And they finally reunited. And it was the finest thing I've ever known or seen. But of course, going to the kingfisher bird. I like the kingfisher birds in the subterranean tropical paradises, because the kingfisher bird will hover in the air with its wings. It stays in one spot and hovers. Now, it can pinpoint a lily leaf or a flower, and it'll hover and stick its long beak into the flower and scoop all the nectar out from its beak. And these kingfishing birds live on the nectar out in California. And it's wonderful. I love California. They got red colours, yellow colours, blue colours, green colours. Very much velvet, very much nice. Very much velvet, very much nice. But they stand spot in the air and hover and stick their long nectar beaks into the flowers.
Hey, you got a mirror in your room.
Yeah, I've got a mirror in my room, Alan.
Oh.
I've got a mirror in my room. Yeah. But there's just one for the books, Alan, you know. I'm not
Anything else you want to say?
Not much, really. Just save the wildlife and the animals. And this is coming from Alan Cornelius and Barry M. Save our wildlife. Thank you very much for listening. And good night to you and goodbye. Thank you.
Good night, friends.
Thank you. Thank you.